So the theme of this conversation was the relationship to the body and movement with perfume. But let's talk about this constellation of products that you have in your house, outside of perfumes.
When I created Maison Francis Kurkdjian, one of my greatest desire was to experiment with perfume in all its forms. Right away, we launched scented candles, we launched scented detergent. I even pushed the boundaries, creating not only the detergent, but also softener, because I always thought that the environment that surrounds us as a human is very important, and there is always an interaction between your body, your skin, and what you put on. And this is how we came up with the idea of Perfume Life 24/7.
Tell us about the technical challenges of transposing your fragrances into scented products.
Part of the training as a perfumer, and I remember when I was a young perfumer, at some point I had to learn how to transpose like a fine fragrance in what we call ancillary products, meaning a shower gel, a body cream, a body lotion, hair mist, up to deodorants. And you have to understand that each of those mediums are very different from one to another. The medium for fine fragrance is alcohol, which is maybe the most refined medium, because once you put a scent, a raw material in alcohol, you get all the facets of it. As soon as you change the medium, you have different interactions. If you take a wax, the wax is oily. Oils suck the smell in, and you lose some of the facets. The same for candles, body lotion. Shower gel is a different thing because the product that creates the foam has already a scent. Even now we are able to create unscented bases on which we add the perfume. You still have some interactions, and the craft of the perfumer is also to manage those interactions and to give the best rendition possible.
For you, it's about keeping this same uncompromising vision, and you've compared your approach to adapting your formulations to a haute couture workshop.
It's exactly that. The idea was to really keep in mind that idea of haute couture, tailored to push the limit of what is possible. At Maison Francis Kurkdjian, to me, it was very important to consider these products as exclusive, as important as the fine fragrance portfolio. I told Mark Shaya, who is the CEO and co-founder, I told him, we must keep the quality overall. We must keep the rendition. The beauty of each product has to be maintained in its integrity.
So it's about having this same perfuming power, but this idea of top, heart, and base notes are no longer relevant.
It's tricky because on the body range, top, mid, dry notes exist. However, that concept does not exist for candles because you don't have a top, mid, dry note for candles. You just have a full scent, a full story.
How is the fragrance revealed with a candle, for example?
Most people think that the scent is conveyed through the wick when it's lit. It's not. It's a melting wax around the wick that creates that halo. And of course, if the candle is well made, a candle on its own should be able to diffuse in the air without being burned. And when you burn it, it's like turning up the volume in a way. And body oil are very tricky as well because those bases suck the smell in instead of helping them to be out. So you have to totally reshape the whole balance of your formula. So it's all about learning when you are a young perfumer. And now that I'm kind of older, it's much more natural, but sometimes it's tricky. Sometimes it's tricky to get exactly what you want because also we don't have as many facets as we have when we work on fine fragrances because the fine fragrance portfolio palette is one of the widest.
Could you give us some specific examples of how you've adapted one of the fragrances from your fragrance wardrobe to some auxiliary products?
One scent of the fragrance wardrobe is very specific in that idea because Aqua Universalis, since the beginning, has been trickled down from its original form, meaning eau de toilette, and we went up to the detergent. So we have the candle, we have the body lotions, the shower gel, we have the detergents, we have a hair mist as well. And each time there is a specific oil that fit each category because each oil managed to balance what needs to be corrected. When you transpose the scent of Aqua Universalis into the candle, you have to flip the formula because the wax has a tendency to absorb the perfume. So you have to increase the top notes, increase the middle notes, and then get very minimal dry down because you don't need them, because the idea of a candle is to bloom in the air, not to stay in the wax. If you think about shower gel, for Aqua Universalis, it's about covering the top note because the foamy part, when you are under the shower, so you have hot water, which is warmer than your skin, some product may evaporate too quickly. So you have to make sure that with hot water, you keep the impression of freshness. You have to use tricks, pushing green notes here and there, removing a little bit of vanilla so it's not too sickening under the water, reshaping the formula. When it comes to the body lotion, same thing. Body lotion are, most of the time, very oily product. So it's the same philosophy. Stability-wise, when we say stability, is how the perfume stays within the product in a very consistent olfaction. So same thing, you have to flip the formula, less than for a candle, but you have to flip it a little bit. You can keep the beautiful natural product because it's not about burning, it's about layering on skin in a way. For the clothing detergent, we had only one reference, which is Aqua Universalis. The story is about the white shirt, it's about the feeling of freshness, and I think that for your clothing, this is what you need only. And if you think about the detergent and the softener, the smell has to stay on the clothing. So there you have to use aroma chemicals that can stay on fabrics. Different type of fabrics because of course you have cottons, you have synthetic fabrics. So for each case you may use different types of aroma chemical where you have kind of affinities between cotton or between silk or between synthetics.
That's fascinating because as you're playing with different facets, because each product requires a composition technique with its own distinctive rules.
Totally, and you rebalance what we call the olfactive pyramid.
This idea of movement with perfume, we were going to touch on dance, which is a recurring theme in your world. Is that relevant when it comes to transposing your fragrances onto the constellation of products?
I would say that to me the most evident relationship between ballet, dance and perfume is how a perfume has the capacity to fill a space. It's the same way when I was younger and when I was practicing ballet with my Paris Opera ballet teacher. When I was on stage, he always told me that I have to own the stage. You have to make sure that you own the stage. I always remember that. And to me, a perfume works the same way, with the same philosophy. Many people always comment about my fragrances that they are big, they have longevity, that they are long-lasting. It's so important to me because it's a criteria of quality to me. Quality relies to craftsmanship, to technicity, and to me it's very important.
That leads us on to the sillage, the trail, and this idea of perfume and movements. Is sillage a concept or a term that applies to products such as shower gels, candles?
You don't expect a shower gel to have a sillage because the purpose of the shower gel is for the time you spend under the shower to have a beautiful experience. Mm-hmm. And to leave a very delicate veil on your skin, but it's not a product that you don't expect sillage on a shower gel. You might expect a longer longevity for a body cream, for a scented cream or scented lotion, because it's in a way one of the final touch that you can have. Of course, you should expect sillage from your fine fragrance. But what you expect from a candle is more about the space it occupies in the room. You want the candle to diffuse. We don't say sillage for a candle, we say more like the diffusion. When you burn a candle, you expect the smell to spread around on a rather big volume.
Do you have any more ideas in the pipeline for other products?
Of course, we have other ideas because we'll be relaunching soon scented leather. Scented leather was at the very beginning of Maison in 2009 when I launched, it was scented leather bracelet. We did a very limited production. We were sold out very quickly, and now we're working again on bringing back scented leather goods. It's very difficult to create. It's a product that needs a lot of care. It's truly respecting the traditional way of scenting leather that was created around almost like 1,000 years ago. And I totally reinvented how to do it. So now we are able to have not only exotic leathers, we have also tint-colored leathers. That was not the case before. So we managed to keep the quality of the leather and to add a scent to it. So we are working on that. So I'm very excited about this project because it's almost going back to the roots for me. That's very important. I truly love this product because it's a true innovation. It's a very specific, it's a very special, this product is very dear to me, very much so. There is another exciting product which is very dear to me, which is Les Bulles d'Agate, the scented soap bubbles. I had the idea while I was in New York. I was walking on Broadway and the spray bubbles in the air hit my eye and I was crying. And it reminded me when I was using shampoo as a kid, because at the time we had to close the eyes under the shower, otherwise you get like
your eyes.
Exactly. And this is how basically the idea of scenting bubbles came on, because it's the same way of creating a perfume for a shower gel. The only difference is because bubbles can be used by kids, the scent has to follow a specific regulation so it can be used by kids. So we have to use what we call FEMA grass. It's a dedicated regulatory convention where we use ingredients that are also edible, just in case as kids put their hands on their mouth, if something happens, it's safe.
Is the idea that you pop the bubble and you get this?
You pop the bubble and you have to break it with the tip of your nose, so you experience the scent.
So you're following bubbles with your nose.
Yes.
Bursting them.
Yes.
Okay. So this whole adventure must have been a huge learning curve for you as a perfumer, no? Has it been a really fun adventure?
It was exactly what I wanted to do with my own house, to be able to experiment a range of savoir-faire. And to create that range of product was a way for me to experiment all the facets of my craft.
Just to go back to this term haute couture that we've used, and this idea that you wanted your scented products to be on a level with your fragrances, that for you they're no way a kind of entry point into the house, because if you think of a fashion house, you might have sunglasses or whatever that are a way in.
They're a kind of entry point, of course, because they are cheaper, but in their own category, they are very expensive. So they're cheaper than a fine fragrance, yet they're much more expensive than a regular shower or body lotion. So I wanted those products to be, well, I believe, perfect. And we spent so much time on the rendition. We spent so much time on how it blooms, how it smells the same when you open the bottle, how you can feel the rose in à la rose, and how you can feel the ambery part of the perfume when it's about Grand Soir, for example. It's very tricky because with vanillic notes, for example, with ambery notes, they tend to turn yellow in the final product because they are quite unstable color-wise. You have a discoloration, which is kind of tricky to manage. So you have to use tricks, and it's very exciting. Sometimes it's annoying. Huh? Sometimes you think that you won't be able to get to the end, but so far we always manage to do so. With a lot of work and passion, you can do so many things.
And just to go back, just to wrap, to go back to when you created your house and you had this idea of experimenting with other ways of integrating perfume in our daily lives. And again, this motto of perfumed life 24/7 is, for you, is it very much a mission accomplished? How do you feel at this point, looking back at what you wanted to create and what you've achieved?
I think so far I have managed to fulfill my dreams about it. And at least, if not totally, I put the basis. I think we have the foundation of what's next, of the philosophy of the Maison. We created so many different product categories: candles, shower gel, body lotion, so body product, scented bubbles, scented leather. It was kind of unique 15 years ago to do so many products, but I thought it was for me natural because the name of the Maison is home. It's the house of a perfumer. You know, basically, if I have to translate the company name, Maison Francis Jean Paris, the house of a perfumer in Paris.